I don't really know how this is going to go. I am not really sure if I'm going to even end up posting this. You may be able to hear the symphony of birds in the background, so hopefully that won't be um, too distracting. About a week ago, my region hit around 85 and I believe 87 degrees Fahrenheit. We practically had a summer heat wave as the spring equinox was happening. It's still very, very warm. I mean, when I'm filming this, it is, I think today reached 79 degrees Fahrenheit. For some context for where I live, the temperatures that we are experiencing right now are extremely abnormal. March is usually one of our most wettest months, if you want to say. We tend to receive a lot of precipitation during this month, usually in the form of snowfall. So, right around this time of year, at the very least, we should have snow on the ground or be receiving some snow. I mean, this whole winter in general for the continental west of the United States has been very abnormal, very dry, very warm. It really makes me think that if I was to go back a few years ago and I was to tell my younger self that this would be a winter that we would have in this region that I live in, I really wouldn't believe it. It just sounds too extreme. It sounds too unnatural, dystopian, honestly. And yet here I am living through it. We're all living through it. And I don't really know how to feel about that. That makes me think of a thought that I had this past summer. And I didn't really know how to speak of it then. But now I think more than ever, it's relevant, at least for me. And that is the fact that we are living in a world under 1.5 degrees Celsius of warming, above pre industrial levels. To those that may not know, that 1.5 degrees Celsius is a limit that has been said time and time again for decades now. In the 2015 Climate Paris Agreement, that 1.5 degree limit was the lower limit that countries agreed upon to keep global warming at or under in order to avoid the worst of the worst of a changing climate. And again, it was that 1.5 degrees Celsius limit was said time and time again by thousands, if not millions of people, not just by climate scientists, but by activists, policymakers, people that were warning us as a whole to not pass this limit unless we want to see changes on our world that we've never seen before. And yet, to my understanding, we have passed that 1.5 degrees Celsius limit back in 2023 and 2024. We are now living in the world that so many warned us not to go into. That 1.5 degrees Celsius is no longer a line, a point on a graph. It is no longer a future scenario because that is our reality. We are living in that right now. This is the state of the world under 1.5 degrees Celsius. We are living in the world that so many warned us not to enter. I think just to say that, to think that is, again, surreal. I don't know. I think a lot of people, including myself, especially my younger self, ever since I first learned about climate change, really hoped that we wouldn't reach this level, that we wouldn't reach this reality, and that we would get global warming, climate change under control. And yet here we are, living in a non-existent winter with very little to no snow, and it feels like summer in March on the spring equinox, and so many other things that are happening around the world. A lot of people, including myself, have yet to come to terms with what it means to live in this new reality, a new state of our natural world. of 1.5 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels, and what that will mean for the functioning, the life here on Earth. Changes to our weather systems, our water systems, our ocean currents, the health of our soils, the health of entire ecosystems, and how all those interact with each other and regulate each other, and how we as human species rely upon and depend on those systems as well. And the fact that we are very much on our way still to the state of the world that scientists still say we need to avoid at all possible. We need to stop warming. We need to keep global warming as limited as possible in order to avoid X, Y, and Z. Especially as a younger person, I think to myself, what will my lifetime look like in this new world, in a state of a world that my parents, even for most of their life, did not live in. They did not live in a world above 1.5 degrees Celsius of warming. And yet I think for younger generations and the generations to come, we are going to live most of our life in this new state of a world, in a world that has more erratic weather patterns, slowing ocean currents, collapsing ecosystems, depleted soils, water scarcity, and geopolitical conflict, mass migration, so on and so forth. That is what comes with a changing world. That is what comes with this new state of a world that we are in. And I don't think a lot of us are ready for that. I don't think I am. I don't even know if I have come to terms with that. How all this will eventually affect my life. This whole winter has been very odd for me. And again, I keep thinking about it. I mean, it's all around me in my region. It's hard for me not to think about it. It's hard not for me to be concerned about the lack of snow we've had, the absent winter we've really had, how this is going to affect the land, the ecosystems all around me. How we get our water here is very much reliant on snowpack, and I don't know how that's going to play out when we don't get as much snow as we really should have. I think about it a lot, and it makes me just think about this new state of a world that even our parents, our grandparents, and previous generations did not live through. And we are going to have to live through, especially as younger generations. I don't really know what that fully entails. I don't even know if I've, again, come to terms with that. But I think that's just reality. That's where we're heading. Our lifetimes, I sadly think, are going to be full of a lot of change. Change that, again, was not there or was not as extreme for previous generations, for our parents and grandparents. Not saying that they didn't have their own challenges in faces of a changing world, but when the very natural world that we live upon, weather systems, how we get our natural resources, grow our food, and access clean water, when that's changing because of how fast our climate is changing, that is going to inextricably affect how we function as a human civilization, as a human species. How we get our food, how we get our water, how we trade resources, how our economies function, how our governments function, how we interact with each other, geopolitical relations, mass migration, our response to natural disasters, so much more. That is all going to change, and I believe that is the future that we are in, and we are going to be in for the years and decades to come. That is going to be our lifetime, sadly. And I think it's about accepting the fact instead of ignoring such, lying to oneself and thinking that, oh, everything's going to be fine and nothing's changing and there's no need to worry. I don't think that helps. So I don't know. I hope that makes sense. I don't know if I'm going to end up posting this, but that is all my thoughts that I've been thinking about recently. Maybe something I said has resonated with someone out there. I hope what I said wasn't too depressing. That is not my intention for this video. I'm not trying to fearmonger. I'm not trying to make people feel powerless and hopeless in the situation that we're in. I think it's just more about, as I talk about these things, it's helping me process it more fully, and just help me come to terms with it all. in the fact that we are in a changing world. We are in a different world that previous generations did not grow up in. And that's going to mean different things for us. That's going to mean that we live differently. We're going to face different challenges. We are going to see different things, a different way of functioning in a changing world, and how we adapt to the years and decades to come, if that makes sense. Whoever is watching, may you have a good rest of your morning, afternoon, or night, and I hope to see you all soon. Bye.